Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is Taste Life Nutrition Radio and Podcast. We are streaming live on kuhsdenver.com. And today you get me. So it's going to be a fun conversation. I'm so glad you're here. I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of soul searching, a lot of praying about a lot of things, but specifically about what I do in my world, what I do with my clients and my patients, and how I show up, and have had some really kind of fun realizations and that kind of thing. So I'm going to chat a little bit about that and what that means for the show, and then just kind of dig into to health and what health really means, right? But first, we always start the show with gratitude. I think that, I say this all the time. I don't always like this morning, right? I woke up late and I had a lot to do. And I did sit, did I? Yeah, I sat and I read my one quick devotional and then just jumped into my day. So I'm not perfect by far, but I do think that starting the show sort of helps to center me within gratitude, helps to center me. Starting my day helps to center me. Starting my day in my Bible verses, my devotionals really does help to center me, and I appreciate that so much. It's very cool stuff. So I'm grateful today. I think for some, just kind of having the ability to sit back and really look into the business and how I show up and what God has in store for me and where He's placing me and the people He places in my life. Um, it's always an interesting journey as you're moving through it, and I am grateful to to be able to sit back and listen. So often, and I do this constantly. It's the go 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 go, instead of just, okay, sitting back listening. What is it that I'm supposed to be taking in from this experience, and how can I be still and show up better? And so I'm learning that every day. It's a practice, that's for sure. But I'm grateful. I feel like I'm more often hearing what it is that he's asking of me, and that's a it's a good place to be. So that's what I'm grateful for today. But as far as where we are with the show, I mean, the show is going to continue, right? It's always fun, but I want it to focus solely on health, as a different viewpoint of what health actually is. So often I have people come to me, and they want to avoid what their parents struggled with, or what their grandparents struggled with, or what their friends struggle with, right? So health is this, it's I want to be healthy to avoid this. I want to be healthy to avoid, right? It's kind of the negative approach to health. What I hope for is, let's flip that. Let's flip that to health is what makes the rest of life possible, right? It makes everything that we want to do and that we want to be possible. And so I believe fully that our bodies are created with this amazing intelligence. And they're constantly responding to the choices we make, right? We talk about epigenetics all the time. They respond to the food that we eat, the stress that we carry, and the relationships that we build. And so there's a lot of hope in that, I believe. And so understanding that our future is not fixed and that we have so much control in the choices that we make that bring us to that create this future for us, right? Even if we're sitting in the middle of junk right now and we're frustrated and we've got some chronic condition, what is it what are the choices that we can make to help us move beyond that? And so that's why we do the show, right? Your family history, all of that matters. It doesn't have to define your future, though. So every day your body is listening and adapting and responding. And you have the ability, if you're sitting in the junk right now, you have the ability to move out of that. And sometimes we got to find our people, right? We got to find our people who help us. And so we want to not solely focus on health as the avoidance of disease, but what it is that allows you fully taste life, right? And so when we feel well, you hear me say this all the time, but it's so true. When we feel well, we love better, we serve better, we show up better, we think more clearly, and then we are able to fully step into God's purpose for our lives. And so the conversations that we have on this show really won't change that much, because we're still going to talk about nutrition and sleep and movement and, you know, chronic conditions and genetics and epigenetics and all of these things that I love so much. But it really is to help to hopefully drip a little bit of let's look at health in a positive manner. Let's look at health as what I want to create in the future and what it means to actually taste life. So I think that kind of going back to what I had said a few minutes ago, what I often see is when people come to me, they're coming to me because they want to avoid something, or like I said a few minutes ago, they're sitting in the junk. They are frustrated, they're sad, they're scared, they're mad, they're annoyed, they're anxious, you know, all of the things that are obviously super negative and super frustrating. And I've been in that place, right? I've been in that place where I didn't understand my body and I didn't understand what it was trying to tell me, and I didn't understand why it was fighting me, because that's what it feels like, right? That's what it often feels like, is that it is a fight. And I can see it in people when they come to me. I can see, even if it's something, like, you know, like for me, it was headaches. But for someone else, maybe it's their elevated cholesterol levels that they're like, this has never happened before. And I'm scared because my dad, you know, had a heart attack or whatever the case may be, right? So it's more of a place of fear and fighting, as opposed to an understanding that our body is there to support us. And so how then do we support it so it can do its job, right? You've heard me say the job's ultimate goal, or the body's ultimate goal, is to keep us alive. When we can come together and partner together with our bodies and say, okay, I'm going to listen to you. Even if I don't know how to, I'm going to find somebody to help me learn how to listen to you, and partner, so we have the same goal, right? We're in the same space, literally. So we want to have that same goal. And when we're able to flip the narrative from the fight to the partnership, then it brings it into this more positive space, right? And sometimes it just takes time, right? I'm always learning new things about my body, especially as a woman. Our bodies seem to change all the time, right? It's super cyclical. And that's just how we work. But that's okay. We're so beautifully and amazingly created, that it's a journey and it's an experience and it's a part of what this life is. And for one, I'm super grateful for that. So, what is it that health actually makes possible in life, right? So, it makes leadership possible, or it makes it better, right? We can still be leaders and not feel well, but can you be the best leader? Can you be the best leader you can possibly be, whether that's in your community or your family or your organization, right? What is it, you know, what else can health create, right? It helps you to give to your family better, helps you give to your community better, helps you to serve better. You can love better. When you feel good, you want to do better and you want to be better. It helps you to, you know, reach those goals quicker, right? It's all of these things that is wrapped into what health actually is. And so when people come to me and they're like, you know, my hormones are all out of whack and I'm super frustrated, which then, you know, pushes cholesterol and pushes lipids, and I want to then understand my labs and understand why they have gotten all wonky. Is that really what they're looking for, or is it more that we're looking for, I need better energy, I need more confidence, I need to be more present with my family and in my work. Or I need more hope, right? See that a lot. I have heard on multiple occasions, somebody who has been dismissed and they're frustrated and they're in this fight and they don't know what's going on. They have said when they come to me, and I think that this is not specific to me. I think it's anybody who's in the functional medicine, functional nutrition world, because what we do is we listen, right? And that listening and understanding that we want to come together as, I'm a partner with my clients and patients, right? And we want to come together to understand why things are happening and not just cover them up, which that creates hope, right? It's just that listening is a big deal for people. And people like, I will come to me and say, I feel like I'm being heard. That's what we want. That's what we need. We need to be heard, right? The health will come in phases, but you've got to be heard first. You can't allow yourself to be dismissed. I see that a lot too. Being dismissed, being told to go home and take your drugs and manage your symptoms, right? Even supplements have the potential of covering up symptoms. So we want to be really careful when we're looking at, what we're taking, what we're putting in our bodies, and our approach to trying to get better, feel better, optimize whatever the goal is, because we want to make sure we're doing it properly and managing from the bottom, because the body knows what it's supposed to do, right? So we want to understand what's going on at the foundation so the body can do its job. It's really all about that support, right? And so I think that people don't come to me. I mean, they think they come to me looking for health. And again, going back to kind of flipping it, but really they're coming to me looking for life. And I think it's an important distinction, because this is a big, beautiful life to live, right? And so think about if you're in a place where you are maybe not your best, you don't feel your best, you're fatigued or whatever the case may be, but you woke up tomorrow completely healthy, what would you do, right? Could you, is your goal, so my niece is here, right? Her goal is to climb a 14er while she's here in Colorado. And she's got a bad knee. So is that possible for her? I think it is. But if she were to wake up with that knee being in a much better position, it would be super easy for her to go, okay, she's 20 years old, right? I'm going to go climb a 14er today. And so those are the things that, what are the goals that not having your optimal health is inhibiting, right? Those are the things that we want to think about. So back 11 and a half years ago, when I LLC'd and started my company, it was actually before that. So I was researching for a paper that I was writing or something like that. And I needed a word, and I was just kind of Googling, right? We didn't have ChatGPT at the time, but I was Googling images and different things, and I was putting words together, right? It's where the taste life came up for me. And I was like, holy smokes, I just figured out the name of my company, as I was trying to describe this. But it really, for me, is so much bigger. And I just love it because it's so real and tangible, right? Life is this big, beautiful, delicious story that we have to live, that we've been given. And it's all of the things, right? Tasting life is surviving. It's not just surviving. It's not just existing, but it's truly laughing and traveling, enjoying and creating and serving, enjoying God's creation, right? All of these things that we've been given. Music, food, right? Food is such a gift, and we've made it so confusing. It's this foundation of life from the beginning of time. and we've taken it and we don't know what's real and what's not real about food anymore. And so when we have this, um, when we have this, when we have this really great health, we're doing all of these things and enjoying and tasting life. And that's kind of what I brought it all together, because it's I think it's really cool. It's really, really a beautiful, I think it's really beautiful. And I just love food. So it's all just kind of comes together. Anyway, so when you're not, what does, think about for yourself, what does tasting life look like for you, right? For me, it's delicious food. But it's also travel, right? I enjoy the travel, right? So what does it look like for you? Is it feeling strong? At 54 years old, I'm stronger than I ever have been, which has been really cool for me. I'm pretty strong naturally, but I'm strong, and it shows, which is cool too. That it's fun to have, a couple of muscles that show, because I've never really have before. So that's a fun thing. Right. So what are the other things that for you are helping you to taste life, right? Is it mission trips? Is it building something? Is it sitting in your backyard? This is what I do. When I can, sitting in your backyard, doing your Bible study, enjoying the sun coming up, getting the light in your eyes. The sun just always makes me think of God, right? It's just this amazing, the warmth of it, and the peace that comes with it. It's so good and so life-giving. I love the sun. So what are the other things for you? Is it hiking, your kids, your grandkids, right? All of these things that we want to take a hold of in life and enjoy. So I also think that health is so much about stewardship, right? Um, our bodies are this amazing creation from God. And it's not that we're perfect, but it's just the choices that we make, right? So we talk a lot, I talk a lot about genetics and epigenetics, because to me, epigenetics is God's gift of free will, right? Going back to it, we make decisions every single day about what we put into our bodies, what we're putting on our bodies, what we're cleaning our homes with, managing the toxins that we are exposed to. And knowing, though, that perfection is not, I mean, nobody's perfect, right? And so making the decisions, though, to be the best stewards of our body and to be the best stewards of our environment, I think is one of the reasons we're put here. But it's also a part of creating that health so we can reach all of these goals that we have in our lives, right? So I love I always think of, going back to the sun, I always think of the warmth. To me, it's like God's hugs, right? I say this all the time, but it's so true. But when we are stewards of our body, we're loving on our bodies, and we're hugging on our bodies, and we're building our bodies, and we're serving our bodies, right? So health is this stewardship of our body and this gift that we've been given. And that's all plays into epigenetics, where it's our choices that impact our epigenetics that then control gene expression, right? So if we think about going back to being fearful of what of our demise being the same as our parents or our grandparents, right? I'm afraid I'm going to have this heart attack. I'm afraid I'm going to have this disease that's going to take me out, right? Sure, the potential may be there, but in the choices that we're making every day, we can mitigate that potential. And so it's important to know that we have so much choice in whether we do or don't express what our parents and grandparents expressed. We have so much more knowledge about this now too. It's fascinating. It's a really beautiful place to be, knowing that the choices I make, it's a lot of accountability, right? It's not an easy thing, but knowing that it's up to me and the choices that I make that are going to control my future is huge. And again, it's free will, right? God's gift of free will. And I think it's just a beautiful, really beautiful thing. So let's see. Oh, we already talked about that. What else do we have? We want to chitty chat about. So I think it's important I still get people coming to me having the viewpoint that their genetics are their story, their only story. And I think that going back to when we're talking about epigenetics and knowing that it's epigenetics is about the information that it's received, and that we don't have to have the same story, right? We can change that story. And it's all about how we approach health and how we approach life to change that story. And it can be done. I'll tell you, for me specifically, I have I've got a boatload of stuff in my family history. We've got autoimmune disease, we've got cardiovascular disease. My grandfather, I think he had his third heart attack at 52, which is the one that took him out. We have dementia, we have um, diabetes, lots and lots and lots of metabolic issues, and obesity and that kind of thing. And so even my mom, right? If I were to assume that my life is going to be like my mom's, that sweet lady, she's so amazing, but she was heavier. She had multiple autoimmune diseases, and then cancer, which is what took her. And so for me, if I were to believe, right, the mindset plays a big role in this. If I were to believe that I'm going to be the same and not make and make the choices that are going to put me in that situation, then sure, my potential for autoimmune disease is going to skyrocket, right? My potential for cancer is going to skyrocket. My potential for being heavy, which I have hardcore, it's a constant, I'm not gonna say it's a constant battle, but it's been lifelong and so ingrained in my head to um to watch my weight. And I've been significantly heavier. So that's, I have the potential, but I have the ability to make the choices to mitigate that potential, right? And so I would say another, this is something that I probably need to do another show on, but my potential also, and I have said this, but if you haven't heard this, I have what's called the ApoE4 genotype, which means it's the highest risk of Alzheimer's when it comes to genetics, right? So just because I have it doesn't mean I'll get it. Just because if I didn't have it doesn't mean I won't get Alzheimer's. It's all about the way that I treat myself. So, but knowing that I have this this SNP, this variant, is what gives me power, right? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is what allows us to make good decisions. So the more knowledge we have about our health, about our genetics, about um, how to steward our bodies and how to, avoid the toxins in our homes and on our skin and that kind of thing, the more we know, the better choices that we can make. And so for me personally, what I know is, in the research that I've done, is how I eat, how I feed myself, how I limit my saturated fat, how I watch the toxins in my environment, because because of this genotype, I don't deal with toxins well. And so and I think it's mercury that I don't detoxify well, as well as then other toxins are problematic for me. So making sure that my body and my liver is functioning well, my lymphatic system is functioning well, then I'm keeping the inflammatory load low, the inflammatory markers low. So I'm doing, I test myself on a regular basis. I'm about to do another panel, right? So it's, as I'm learning about me, I'm kind of doing these testings kind of quarterly and making sure that all of my markers are in line. Doesn't mean everybody has to test quarterly. This is because I want to, but it helps me when the more I know about me, the more I know that I can help, especially when it comes to something like Alzheimer's and mitigating that risk for those who do have this genotype. This is the stuff that we can dig deeper in and learn to understand with the lab work and know and make sure that the lifestyle choices that we're making when we have these goals and mitigating this risk, these lifestyle choices are actually doing what we want it to do, right? So making sure that there are certain markers that are in line. I'm not going to get into it right now. I'll do it on another show, but making sure all these things are in line and that what I'm doing to support myself and my cognitive function is working. So I'm doing another set of labs, I think, next week. So, and so far so good, right? So it's good. All the inflammatory markers are so far have been in line. And yeah, I'm not gonna, I keep wanting to go deeper into that because it's really been top of mind for me, but I'm not gonna do it now. We'll do it for another show. Excuse me. So I think that, having this, let's see where we are here. Having a view of a show that is positive, that is really focused on bringing health to the forefront. I mean, we've been talking about health, right? But so often we're talking about the disease aspect of it. And I really, really want to focus on the possibilities and the potential that we all have. And so I want to bring that to the forefront. So with that being said, also, I want to make sure that I'm throwing this out there because I'm super excited about this, is that next week we are starting our monthly health intelligence conversation. We're calling it the Ripple Effect. So this is a conversation that we're going to have on the first Wednesday of every month. So you can go to Eventbrite, you can check it out, you can sign up. Right now I just have the first one on there, but it's going to be the first Wednesday of every month, like I said. And it's just going to be, it's essentially a live Q&A. So we're going to come together, we're going to talk about a specific topic, we're going to dive deep into it, and then I'm going to answer any questions that anybody brings to me. Doesn't mean that I know it all, right? But I know how to get good answers. And so I'm hoping that this is a resource for people, because what I am finding and what I see way too often is people coming to me with their labs. So this first one is about labs. That people come to me with their labs and they're like, I don't know what any of this means. I'm not the one who ran the labs, right? It was their doctor or somebody who ran the labs, and they're like, I don't know what this means. Can you help me walk through this? And so, of course, as part of my job, again, going back to knowledge is power, right? And if you don't understand your lab work, you don't have to understand it like I understand it, or like others, who want to dig into this stuff understand it. But we want to know that what's on that piece of paper is good, or there needs to be some work. And so one of the things that I want to that we're going to hit on is the fact that those of us in the functional medicine, functional nutrition world look at labs in a very different way. We also tend to run a lot more labs so we can get more information. What I so often see are labs that are just so limited. You've got a few things that can be helpful, but if you're struggling or if you want to optimize, a small set of labs, a small comprehensive metabolic panel is not really going to do that. But we need to know what it is that we're looking at, what the ranges mean, and how we can optimize. And then if the ranges, if we shrink those ranges, what was essentially what we do in the functional medicine space, if we shrink those ranges, more things pop up, but that's okay because there are more red flags that we then can start putting pieces of the puzzle together. So we want to dig into those. We're not going to dig into every marker. I don't want to, bore everybody to tears, but there are some things that that I want to talk about that people need to know about that are really important in labs. And there's even some markers that are rarely tested. No, I say rarely, a lot of times aren't tested, but need to be tested more often. And I think it's important to have these conversations so you can advocate for yourself. You can ask the questions. You can, advocate for your friends and your family if that's what needs to happen, right? So when you have this information, you can, you have your toolbox where you can go, okay, well, let's dig deeper into this because I need to know more, instead of just going, okay, it must be fine. And what I see so often too is people are like, I don't feel fine, but I'm told I'm fine. That's how I was, right? All my labs were great, but I felt like trash, right? You have chronic pain, you're going to feel like trash, but your labs might be fine. So let's understand why that might be and dig into the details of that. So that's what we're going to do starting next week, Wednesday, again, at 12 o'clock Mountain Time. So join us. Again, you can go to Eventbrite. It's called The Ripple Effect, a health intelligence conversation. It's linked all over the place. It's all over social media. And so you can find it there as well. But looking forward to that. It's going to be a ton of fun. Okay, moving on. I think one of the things that I want people to really think about, whether you're looking to optimize or you've got some stuff that you're struggling with and you have some health goals, is what kind of life are you really trying to build? And I think that if we think about that as we make our daily choices, it helps us to make better choices. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay, right? I ask myself these things all the time. Doesn't mean I'm always making the perfect choice. But if we start to think about it that way, what is it that I'm trying to build? Then we start to think, okay, is this Coke, right? Is this Coke going to actually create what I want to build, right? Or is it, what does the body need to help to live that life? So is it the Coke or is it water, right? And sometimes we just want the Coke. I'm grateful that I got away from that. And mine was Dr. Pepper for a long time. That's what I tell people, Dr. Pepper and Taco Bell. It was not the best nutrition as a younger person, but that's just how it goes, right? Can't go back. We can only learn from and move forward. But what are the things that I'm doing on a regular basis that are that really is going to help to build and live the life that I want to live, that's going to allow me to do the things that I want to do. And so if we were to take a step back and think, what do I want my life to look like in 5 years? So maybe you are sitting in a place where you're kind of surrounded by the junk, right? You've got maybe a couple of diagnoses, maybe some stuff that's not diagnosed. You're like, I don't know what it is, and I don't know what's going on, and I don't know why. Which is where I was, right? I was in this place where everybody was like, you're fine, and I was like, but I'm not fine. Chronic pain changes who you are, right? It changes your personality. It changes how you show up in life. It changes how you interact in your relationships and in your business, right? Chronic pain is no good, no matter where the chronic pain is coming from. It is a game changer if you're struggling with chronic pain and you can't find answers. I have my own story, but I would also say my husband, he broke his leg, right? A nasty, nasty break, fell off a cliff. We're lucky he's with us still, right? And it could have been a back, it could have been a neck, right? So we're grateful that it was his leg, his ankle, but it pretty much shattered it. So it was a tib fib, talus, that whole joint right on the leg, not my wrist, but it was that whole joint And then all of that cartilage in there was shattered, and it was an open wound, right? So it was compound fracture. So bones sticking out. I mean, it was nasty. It was so bad. It was interesting because, he immediately went into surgery and they put it all back together. And he had we were told was a great surgeon, but it wasn't quite right, unfortunately. If it's, and I don't know how you even get it an injury like that. I don't know how you get it quite right because there's so much going on. But in putting all of the bones back together with the pins and the screws and all of the things that you do, it was just off enough to where, and we didn't know this, but it was off enough where all of it was doing well and it was healing, and then it totally digressed, or regressed. Anyway, the point is, it all of that cartilage just started disintegrating. And so he was bone on bone. So it was tons of pain. And we're trying to figure out why, right? Because he was doing so well. And then it just totally went backwards. And so he was in severe chronic pain for quite some time. And it was interesting, we went to another orthopedic surgeon, and it was, his comment was just what we're talking about right now. He's like, this pain changes who you are. And it did, and it does. And so what is it that we can do to get out of that place, right? It takes a lot of searching. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not easy. I was there for 2 years. He was there for, I don't know, 2 or 3, something like that, maybe. And so what if you were to imagine where you want to be, even if you are not struggling, but you want to optimize, what is it? What are those goals that you want, right? 5 years from now? Is it being healthy? Is it being stronger, more present? We've kind of been over some of these things, but what are the things that maybe you want to do that you can't do now? Is it just being, happier? There's so many things. People have so many different goals. And when we're living in a place where we can create health, which we can, then we start reaching and moving toward those goals. So anyway, I think that this is an ongoing conversation about a mindset switch for me, for sure, and hopefully for anybody as we're moving forward, because I think that we want to continue. We want to continue creating this health concept so that we see things with a worldview that is a positive and a good, healthy worldview, as opposed to an avoidance worldview. And I don't want to, that's just it. In my prayers and trying to work with people in that space is such a better space than let's avoid what could happen. It really is, let's create what can happen, which I think is a really great place to be. So I think we're going to stop a little bit early today because that's all I got. So I was just kind of excited to jump on and chat a little bit about that. We're going to continue, of course, every Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Be sure you join us for the Ripple Effect coming up, our health intelligence conversation coming up every first Wednesday at noon Mountain Time, where we're going to go, just jump on Zoom live, just do a live meeting and have a good chat about some fun stuff and answer some questions and hopefully get some good information out there. Remember, this is free. I just want to help people get good information. And, it's sort of like I said, we want to serve well. And that's really what I'm hoping for, is just to serve well, serve the best I can, give the best information I can. I'm certainly not, in many ways, I'm not perfect and I don't know it all. But I'm going to certainly help as much as I could possibly can, if I'm allowed to. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll be back here streaming live on kuhsdenver.com next Thursday, and we will see you here. Oh, go to the website. You can find the website, Taste Life Nutrition. Lots of changes going on there as well. But you can fill out a free assessment. You can find all the events we're doing. This is something that I need to talk about. Um, tonight, well, it's today. So if you're local to Denver, join us. We are going to be at the Goldfinch, which is off Broadway. So this is an event called Her Market Hour, and it's a friend of mine who started this networking event. We've got a really pretty big showing. I think it only allows 30 people. My understanding that 30 people have registered. So obviously not everybody always shows up, but it's a good conversation so I'm speaking, then we've got two others who are speaking, and then we've got an amazing photographer, Candace Smith with the Essence Photography, making sure I'm getting that right. Anyway, all really great conversations, a lot of health and wellness and leadership and that kind of thing. So it'll be really beautiful day. It's going to be sunny, and have a cocktail if you want to come and have a cocktail and a little bite to eat. So doing that this afternoon. So yeah, if you're around, if you're local to Denver, then join us. Okay, I'm gonna let you all go. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Bye.